the target on the chopper.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes hard difficulty walkthrough. We're now on our way to locate and rescue Paz, or Pez, or Peth, or whatever she's called. I think it's Paz. And to do that, we need to go to the other complete side of the base. It's the complete opposite to where we just were. And because there's more traversal elements of this game, you can now climb on rocks and do a lot of interesting movement things. Occasionally you can come up against some surfaces, where Snake has a little bit of difficulty. So just bear with that. But a couple of things to note here. I think you're almost silent, or you might literally be silent when you're crawling like that. I know when you're crouched they can still hear you if you walk on certain surfaces, and you can brush the analog to walk really slowly while crouched, which I assume is the silent version of the crouch walk. I've only played this 3 times, guys, so I haven't really had, enough time with the game to be able to tell the nuance of the stealth, because for the way I've been playing it, I haven't really needed it. But I'm waiting here for the van to go past because I'm a little bit quicker than my previous run, and I'm a little bit far ahead of my original line. So I waited just in case it changed the enemy spawns, and it did, because normally I wait for the truck to leave. This guy wasn't here. On this recording run I'd never seen this guy who's directly in front of me now before, so he kind of threw me off a little bit. And in this instance you might not have to crawl as much as I'm doing it, but I like crawling on Metal Gear Solid games. It makes me feel like I'm stealthing even when I'm not.
If you're still not sure, listen to the tape again.
But he's eventually going to walk back the way he came, and the guy across from him is someone you want to watch out for. And something I've noticed too, when you're crouching like this, when you're on your belly, if you go up against a surface or close to a surface and you clip, Snake can stand up. And you need to be very careful, because when you stand up you're obviously a bigger target and you're easier to spot. And I'm going to stand up shortly by accident and nearly get spotted, and it's kind of a hair-raising moment. But what you want to do on this part is you want to have crossed the road around to the right, and I end up going the wrong way here. I look this way and I realise I'm a little bit farther than I need to be, because there's a searchlight, and whenever you're in light the enemies can see you. Because this game is a lot more advanced than the previous ones as far as the AI, it seems. They can spot you from a more realistic distance and more realistic situations, rather than just either having really good sight and really, really bad periphery, to just more natural and dynamic difficulty. So this guy kind of sees me, and I'm going to stand up here coming up. So whenever that happens, make sure you're just ready to get back on your belly, because you might get spotted, and on hard you get spotted very quick, but even on normal you get spotted quick too. So it's definitely worth being conscious of. And this is the vent in question that I had troubles with. The best way to get in this vent is to aim so that you're directly facing it. If you don't do that, Snake will go up and down and into walls and lay down, and it becomes really awkward. And the only other instances where the game does that is when you lay down. On this game, for some reason, you can't turn on the spot. You have to literally stand up to turn, because if you don't, he's going to start rolling around and laying on his back and doing all sorts of drunken antics, which nearly got me spotted on one of my runs, because I just wasn't aware there was that many animations for doing different things. It's kind of brilliant, really, but it is a touch annoying. So there's a guy to my left there. You'll notice I lay past him, and then I step up and I enter this area. Inside of here there is one guard to my left. The game wants you to use CQC. I go up on the balcony and I shoot him in the head. Mainly because I don't really know how much sound I make getting close to people, and I didn't really want to take the chance. I don't like the aiming. It reminds me of Peace Walker, and Peace Walker was restricted because it didn't have a second analog, so the aiming on that made sense. But in this context, it just... I prefer Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3's aiming, even though they were awkward. Give this game that aiming style with these kind of controls and I'd be a really happy bunny, because I really liked going into first person, and I think you can probably do that in this game. I just haven't figured out the button that does it. I know you could do it in Metal Gear Solid 4. Maybe it's L1 or something. I'll have to mess around, but you'll notice I don't use it because I didn't know how to use it. I've literally had less than an hour with this game, and I've beat it 3 times. I almost feel bad about making the guide, but it kind of made itself. So now that we're in here, there's going to be a little cutscene happen, and I'm going to skip it for the sake of the guide. And now we have Paz. We have to take her back to a helicopter landing zone. There are a handful of landing zones you can choose. Depending on which one you pick will depend on where you need to go, depending on the circumstances. You might go into full-blown assault mode where people shoot at you. I am going to take her back to the landing zone we came in. So I'm going to loop all the way around back to the start of the mission. And to do this I have to do a few things. And this goes horrible, this, guys. I miss my shots terribly. So, like, just play better than I do, because for some reason I just wasn't on the ball. So wait for this guy to go into the alcove and then trank him. And what you're going to do is you're going to carry Paz's body to where he is on the stairs, and I'm going to move his body just in case the enemies see it as they come in. And what's going to happen is 2 soldiers are going to check her cell. And on my first playthrough on hard, I decided not to trank them, and the base went into alert. It didn't really make the escape any harder, but I didn't want an alert for the sake of the guide. So instead I came up with this strategy of waiting in this little corner for the 2 guys who check the cell to go past and then tranking them both. And if my hands had been, you know, on par, I would have been able to do 2 headshots and take them both out. But as it happens, maybe it's all the Dark Souls I've been playing and whatnot, my shot is really bad, and the aiming on this game is a little bit tricky at first. So I'm waiting here, I'm looking through that corridor for 2 guys to show up, and they walk in front of each other, so there's a definite way to do this without having too much trouble. I think the first shot goes down fine. Let's have a look. So here they come. I eke out, I aim up, and I miss. No. So the second shot worked. He notices I should have tranked him there, but I don't. Should have tranked him here, but I don't. You know, I get really unlucky and impatient, and it's just bad aim from me. So that takes far too many shots, and I now have 4 rounds, and there are 4 soldiers between the exit and me. So try to be a better shot than I am. It's not hard, guys. I don't know. As soon as I hit record, I started playing terribly, apparently. So the camera's blind spot is under them. There's a guard directly in front of me on the adjacent side of this area. He can see you from this distance, so be very careful. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit on this side area here, and we're going to look down and wait for him to walk up the stairs so we can go past. Something that really I felt was kind of awkward when I played this game was the camera. It's incredibly close to Snake, and I don't know if it's because it's been a while since I played Metal Gear. I don't know if it's because I've been playing so much Dark Souls. That camera's kind of my frame of reference. But I had trouble with how close the camera was. You know, like some Resident Evil 4 type, really close camera stuff. It just made it hard to see things, because all I could see was Snake. And I don't know if it's because they're trying to be cinematic or if it's just a design decision, but there's your checkpoint. And from this point onwards, if you look to your left and you actually saw where I'm walking past right now, you'd have a really big problem with this game, because there's a tank with its lights on, there's a bunch of soldiers, there's a whole squadron of dudes, and for some reason they just can't see me. So I come down here, there's 2 soldiers directly in front of me on my left. There's something else I wanted to say when I mentioned that previous thing. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry, there was something Don't step on the grating, by the way. The grating makes noise, but that's the first guy you want to take out. If you take them out in the opposite order, you will see him go down and it'll make it a trickier shot. But just line them up, wait for it to go red, take them down. There is a pretty interesting marking system in this game, where you use the binoculars to mark targets and then you can see them through walls. But because of the strategy I'm using, I don't really need that technique, and I get the feeling on the hardest difficulty you won't have that ability. You'll be able to spot them, but it'll not show them through walls, because, you know, it kind of negates some of the challenge. But you can run in this area, you're at no risk of alerting anybody. There's a magazine to pick up on top of this like ammo box here, and round the next tarpaulin, like wall, fence, there's going to be 1 dude, and depending on how slow you've come here will depend on where he is. So I get really lucky at this point, because he's walking away. If he's the opposite direction, he will spot you. So there he is. You want to quickly take him out, because he does not stay there for too long. Now he's down. There's only 1 guy left stopping us from accessing the gate. And on my first hard playthrough, I didn't know he was there. So when I was running across the grating, I made a noise. I picked the lock, and he spotted me. So I knew that was coming. And on this playthrough, I decided to to trank him, which is what you're going to see in a moment. But another thing, the people you carry make a lot of noise. They talk and they moan, and the audio kind of repeats itself. I don't think the AI can hear it. I don't think it can give you away. I think it's just a touch, like a detail that they've added. Because there's been times when she's been really loud and we've been really close to bad people and it's done nothing. So I think it's just a bit of flair. But once you've picked this, all you need to do is run up the mountaintop and go back to where we started, hit that landing zone with a helicopter request and wait for the chopper to come. And believe it or not, guys, you just beat Ground Zero's campaign. Yeah, I was as surprised as you probably are. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to look at in here and explore, which is cool. It looks beautiful. It plays nice. There's a handful of optional missions, which could be really fun. I'm definitely going to get my money's worth in this game, but as far as would I recommend it, I just can't. For the price point, I mean, in England it costs about 23 quid, and for 23 quid, you can get a lot of games significantly longer than this one. I mean, the quality here is astounding, but the quantity just isn't there. If you're a die-hard Metal Gear fan, you're obviously going to need it, and look at it like this. It's probably identical to Metal Gear Solid 5 in how it plays and what you're going to be doing. So if you play this for the next few months, you're going to be really up to date when you get your hands on the main game. Like, I really do not know the politics behind this release. I don't know why this exists. I don't know how they can get away with it or what the situation is, but yeah, wow. And I didn't even dislike it, guy. I think this is a great game. I think it's really fun and really cool. It's just, there's nothing there. There's literally nothing there. I have 2 videos that last 19 minutes and I've covered the campaign. You have a problem with that. But yeah, I'll leave it with you anyhow. That's your decision. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Are those extra missions enough to make you want to check it out? I couldn't honestly say. There's a ton of unlockables and time trial-y stuff. Got to admit, I kind of hate time trial-y stuff. It's not my thing at all, so I'll probably not be dabbling too much with that. But if you're a speedrunner, this game is going to be delicious for that kind of stuff because it's quite an easy speedrun and you can get super competitive. And if you're just a fan of mullets, there's some pretty decent, 80s fare here. Some pretty good mullets happening. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm not too sure what the next project's going to be. It's going to be a ton of Dark Souls and then back to normal, and whatever big comes out, be it Final Fantasy X High Def, be it if I get Yaiba, if it's any good, who knows. But the channel will grow. Hopefully you'll continue to enjoy it, and if you don't, you can feel free to leave and watch other awesome things. So yeah, you take care now.